We're excited to introduce a CMA tool for all Highgarden and EasyStreet agents. What you're seeing here is the end product. When you go through all the steps, at the end you'll be able to create both an online version of a CMA and also a PDF version that you can print out, bind, or whatever and take on your listing presentations. It's pretty cool. There's a lot of good stats. Make it pretty simple. This is the online version that I'm showing you here. We also have a PDF version that you can print out and take along to your listing appointments. So I'm going to show you how to do this real quick. We'll walk through one. I'm going to go, when you log in, you're going to want to go to cma.highgarden.com and use your IMS username and password to log in. Once you get logged in, you'll be taken to a dashboard. This will probably be empty when you first log in, but this shows you all the different CMAs that you've created in the past. We're going to do a new one here. I'm going to call it, I'm just going to put 14957 Dry Creek Road, and my client's name is Pete McCarty. I'll create CMA. There's a series of 7 steps that we're going to go through to create a CMA. The first step is to enter in the subject property, the property that you're doing the CMA for. So we'll do 14957. And what you want to do is just start typing the street address into this bar, and it's going to search your MLS and pull in any records of that particular property in the MLS. If nothing comes back, you're going to want to come down here and fill in as much information as you possibly can, especially the street address, city, state, and zip, and we'll pull in a street image from Google to use as the image in your CMA. You might have to go to Zillow or Realtor.com or your tax records to fill in as much as you can, bedrooms, baths, square footage. But most of the time, we're going to be able to find a property. You click on it, it pulls in all the images from your MLS for that particular property. This one was withdrawn on, looks like May of 2024. It's the only time it's been in the MLS. But we pull in all of the information that we can about the property. 2-story, 2-car garage, 4 bedrooms, does not have a basement. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and then we'll go to the next step, step 2. And these, I'm working on a development machine today, so this might be a little slower than what you're actually going to experience when you hit the program. But here's where we could look for the comparables. This radius here is a 1-mile radius around the subject property. And I always like to start with just a few things that I know about the property. I know it's a 2-story, 2-level, bedrooms. It's got 4 bedrooms. And I know it does not have a basement. So I'm just going to start really simple and really broad and see how many comps I can find. So you click this button, find comps. It looks like we have 7 comparables. Let me look here. None of them are really, I'm going to go back a year. Let's see, that would be 09, 2024, and see what I can find. See if I can find some more comparables closer to that property. Should be coming back. Now we have 14, so that's pretty good. I can zoom in here. Basically, I know that Deer Path is just this neighborhood right here. And it looks like I got some good comparables just in that neighborhood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw some boundaries around Deer Path. So I'm using the best. You'll double click to close that. Now I want to come here and select this boundary and click the trash and delete it and refine those comps. So now I'm just looking in Deer Path. I know there's some good comps in there. So when those come back, so now we have 7. I'm gonna stick with those 7 because I know they're all 2 stories, 4 bedrooms, no basement. They should be good comparables. So once again, I'll click save, and we'll go on to step 3. Step 3 is where you can actually look at each comparable. You can go through the photos, make sure they are good comparables. If you click on the photo, you can see that you can scroll through all the photos of that particular house. You can scroll down and get more information about the house, when it last closed, just all the basic information from the MLS. So what you want to do is select each one of these that you want to use in your comparable as a comparable. You could also do a select all, and it'll select all 7. You could come in here and unselect this one for whatever reason. We also calculate a similar property score. Don't pay a lot of attention to this right now. It's a work in progress, but what we're trying to show you is how similar these comparables are to the subject. If you see, one that's only like 2%, you might want to take a look at it, but don't pay a lot of attention to that for right now. We're going to improve on that. So once I have all the properties selected that I want to include as comparables, I'll click Save again, and we'll go on to step 4. This is where the magic happens, where it really gets pretty easy. What we've done, these are all your comparables. Once again, you can click on them, pull up the photos and the information. But the key is these adjustments. If you click on the adjustments, you'll see that we actually give you a list of ideas of how you could adjust the price for this particular property. I'll give you a tip. If we don't have a dollar amount in any of these areas, unless you're really confident in making an adjustment, I would skip it. So this particular property, we don't really have any adjustments to make. We'll go to this one. We can here we're going to make a square footage adjustment. There is an amount here, so I'm going to click on that. How that works, it's 1/3 of the closed property's price per square foot. We've done hundreds of these CMAs and talked to appraisers, reviewed appraisals. That seems like a great start. And we've been nailing probably 400 of these CMAs here in Indy using that calculation. We've looked at other markets, and it seems to hold true in all of our markets. So you could just click on that, and it makes the adjustment in there. And I'm going to go through these really quickly and just make the adjustments where I see we've already came up with a price. No fireplace. Square footage adjustment. Okay, we're done. Now we can go back to the subject property. You can see that we have estimated, based on all of these adjustments, that this house here in Deer Path in Noblesville has an estimated list price around $370,000. So we'll click Save again, and we'll go to step 5. And this is where you're going to enter in some of the data that's going to end up in those final reports that I showed you at the beginning. So we have an estimated list price. Of all the comparables, the lowest was 320, the highest was 411, and the average was 372. I know that this house is not in the best condition. It's probably why it was withdrawn, and also the agent has some crappy photos. But you can see they just didn't get the house ready to sell. In a lot of the comparables that I looked through, they were immaculate. So I know that this house is probably going to sell for a little less or less than 370, 372. So I'm going to put a price range in here of what I want to suggest to my client. Let's say 350 to 370. And that's going to be displayed in the actual reports at the end. We also have, a lot of our agents will show the seller in a listing appointment, if we sell for this, here's what your bottom dollar is. If we sell for this, here's what your bottom dollar is. If we sell for this, here's what your bottom dollar is. And so you can come in here, and we want to add 3 options. I'm going to just put 350,000, 360,000, and if we sell at the top of the market, 370,000. Once you get that in there, you can add title insurance, the cost that it's going to, that the seller is going to pay for the title insurance. And you can click the rates right here, and it's going to pull up and take you to the Chicago title and walk you through a rate calculator. We also have a sheet here in Indy. Most markets probably have this, where you can actually just look it up really quickly. I did this earlier today, so I will just enter in what these title costs are. Now, if you're in the Carolinas or Las Vegas or some other markets, you have a transfer tax, and it's calculated based on, it's either $500 per, like $1.50 per $500 or something else per 1,000. We're going to calculate that for you. So if you're in a different market that uses a transfer tax, you'll also see rows right here for the transfer tax based on these prices. So once we get through this step, we'll click save and go on to step 6. And this is where we can add in some of the cost, like your commission. So what we're trying to do is get to a net proceeds calculation for those 3 prices that we're going to present to our seller. So agent listing commission, you can come in here and change that to whatever you want, and you'll see it changes on the right, calculates a new amount. A lot of agents are using 0 for buyer's agent commission. Here in Indy, we're probably still putting 3 there, or 2.5, or whatever your market is, because the offers are going to come in probably with an ask to pay a buyer's agent. So you'll handle that differently in your market, but you have the ability to customize that. We also want to calculate the prorated property taxes. In Indianapolis, we get that in our data feed. In a lot of markets, we don't. So you'll have to look that up however you do. Enter in an amount, and then we want to estimate the close date. So let's say we list this property today. I'm going to estimate it's going to close in 2 months. So I put November 19th and click calculate, and this will come up with the exact amount of prorated property taxes that the seller is going to have to pay, and that gets stuck in right there. You can prorate your HOA fees. We're going to show you what was last in the MLS, and then you can decide, exactly what you want to put in there for an HOA fee, and that's typically probably going to be a credit to your seller. HOA, you might pay it a year in advance. You close 6 months into that year, you're going to get a credit for those 6 months. Our transaction fee, you can change that to whatever your market is. Inspection repairs, you can change this to whatever you want to. We're just going to estimate $2,000 for this property. And your title closing fees. These are like the transfer fees in Indy. It's like $1,165 of fees from Chicago Title for just their closing fees. Each market, these can be customized. So get with your manager. If you think that we should have a different fee on here and a default amount, we can add that for your market. So we went through and talked to the managers and came up with a list to start with for your market, but it might not be all inclusive, or you might have an idea on how to improve it, but we're going to give you a jump start. So once you get all these fees in here, you can click save. And this is where we can actually come back, or where the fun part is. You can add a custom note for your client. I'll just put this in here. Hi, Pete. Hope you enjoy this CMA. And I'll show you where this ends up in the report when we publish it. You can customize the thank you message at the end of your report, but you can come down here and click Publish CMA. And what this is going to do, it's going to take about a minute. It's going to create that online version and the PDF version. So you could use the online version. You could just copy and paste the URL that it creates into an email and send it to your client. You could also use it in a presentation. Take your iPad or whatever to your presentation, pull it up on your computer, and walk through it with your client online. And I'll show you the benefit of that. It's in the images. You could also, the PDF that it generates, just download it and attach it to an email. You could print it out. A lot of our agents are printing it out and having it bound in some nicer, with a binding and all that, so it looks really professional. We'll just wait for this to finish generating, and I'll show you the final product. I'm also going to show you how to add your image. If you want to add a custom logo or your own image, you can also do that. Once it finishes, you'll see down here a view. This is the online version and obviously the PDF version. We'll pull up the online version. And here it is. Here's our final CMA. Has the subject property with the information we know about it. Shows a map of all the comparables that we used in the CMA. Also has the list of all the comparables and all the adjustments that we made to come up with the price. This is the cool part. We use AI to analyze all the images and label them by kitchen, bathrooms, living room, bedrooms. So you could walk through your client and say, this house has a really nice kitchen compared to yours. This is a nicer kitchen compared to yours. You can come down here and click on living room, and now we change the living room view. So it's a way to explain to your client, or show them the differences in their property versus the comparables that you used. We also have some statistics based on the 7 comparables that we used right here that we can show the client. Some nice graphs of price per square footage. You can notice these 2 blue dots. There's 2 blue dots because we use 2 different. This is at $370, the high price of the market. This is at $350. Price first days on market. This is always a good graph. Typically, you're going to see an upward slope as price goes up. Days on market might go down. In this particular case, that's not really the case. Current market conditions, we look at the zip code of the subject property, the type, and then 1+ bedrooms. And over the last 30 days, what are those statistics? This isn't showing anything in here right now because I'm on a development machine, but when you log in, these will all be filled in. Here's the estimated price range. So we're suggesting to the seller, we need to list this house somewhere between $350 and $370. That's a conversation that you can have when you're in person talking to the seller, coming up with that price. You could also put in one specific number here on that step, I think 5. Agent remarks. Hi Pete, hope you enjoy this CMA. This is where that first box of agent remarks go. And we also bring in the seller net proceeds, where it breaks down. If we sold for $350, what would they net? If we sold for $360, what would they net? $370, what would they net? And then a little thank you and the logo. If you're in an EasyStreet market, obviously these logos will be EasyStreet. I want to show you the PDF version real quick. It prints out really nice. It does look a little bit different. We got a table of contents, the subject property, the comparables at a glance, and then we break down the comparables. We show them 9 different images of that house and pull in what we know about that house from the MLS. And then if we made any adjustments, we show it for each house. Once again, the local market analysis and trends for those 7 particular subject or comparable listings. We have the graphs in there, and then the estimated list price, the estimated seller net proceeds, a really valuable page there. And then, the disclaimers, obviously, and your image, and all branded to you. So we're super excited about this. We've had an incredible adoption rate here in Indy. I think we've had almost 90 agents consistently using the product. We're probably close to 500 CMAs that have been generated by now. So we hope you really enjoy this. Hope it helps you. Hope it makes you look more professional. The last thing I want to show you is your profile up here. You can click profile. And this is where you can update your image if you don't like it. You can click change photo. Let me just pull in one here of me. You can move it around, zoom in, get it nicely placed there. That looks good. And then if you have a different logo that you want to use, we encourage you to use I think you have to in most markets. You have to have your brokerage logo in there, but some of you have your own logo. Hopefully it has your logo / our logo, but you can change that if needed. Just click save, and now every time you create a CMA, your beautiful picture will be right there at the top and bottom of every CMA. So I hope everybody gets some use out of this. We encourage you to give us feedback. We need your feedback, on those estimated fixed cost that you might want in there by default. It's customizable by market, not by agent. But anyway, if you have any questions, please reach out, and I will be doing a live training about this sometime next week. I'll let you know when that's happening. Talk to you soon.